All right. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. I am the Pit Messiah, your host for the Quiet Storm live trading session for London for October the 17th, 2025. We'll get straight to the action. 1 second, and I'll put up the charts. Okay, so we've got a dip in Bitcoin that happened while I was sleeping. It's around 104,000 right now. Going to figure out why that is the case. We do have some signal calls to review. We have a sell on WIF versus USD. It looks like we missed at 10:45 p.m. That already hit take profit. We have a sell on Ripple versus USD. That's a spot. It's already too far gone to take. It's past 50% to take profit. That will likely hit take profit. Have another call on Ripple versus Tether. Same thing. Too late to take. Same thing on ILST versus Tether. Rare versus Tether already hit take profit. Great British Pound versus Swiss franc already hit take profit. Euro versus Swiss franc already hit take profit. On the 30-minute, Great British Pound versus Swiss franc already hit take profit. IO versus Tether. Now that we can take. We're going to take this on a sell. Short position to 0.289. All right, so let's go ahead and grab the parameter. All right, this is a crypto perpetual trade. You'll find this on Liquid Brokers. That broker you can find in the description to this particular video. IOUSD, 15-minute confirmation, market execution, sell, with a reward ratio of 5.25. Your entry price is going to be 0.331. Stop loss is 0.339. That's for 8 pips. Take profit is 0.289 for 42 pips. And here's your first call of the night. IOUSDT, 15-minute confirmation, a market execution sell. Entry price is 0.331. Stop loss is 0.339 for 8 pips. Take profit is 0.289 for 42 pips. And a risk to reward ratio of 5.25. We have Cast versus Tether. It's already hit take profit. We have Rare versus Tether. Already hit take profit. We have Whiff versus Tether. Already hit take profit. All right, so we have ApeCoin versus Tether. We can mark that off. Let's see where we're going. To 0.3781. Take that as a sell from current price. Down to 0.3781. Right. This is also a crypto perpetual trade. You'll find this on liquid brokers. It's an APE, APE, USDT. 15-minute confirmation, market execution sell. It's going to be a risk to reward ratio of 3.03. Entry price is 0.3984. Stop loss is 0.4051. It's going to be 67 pips. Take profit is going to be 0.3781. That's going to be for 203 pips. Here's going to be your second call of the night. APE, APE, USDT. 15-minute confirmation, market execution sell. Entry price is 0.3984. Stop loss is 0.4051 for 67 pips. Take profit is 0.3781 for 203 pips. And the risk to reward ratio of 3.03. And we have a Euro CZ on the 15-minute, which invalidated itself. We have the same thing on the 30-minute, which invalidated itself. Won't be taking that. We have OGN versus Tether on the 30-minute that hit take profit already. And with that, we are caught up for the night. So we have a sell on IOUST and a sell on APE USDT. Both of those to start the evening. It is 2:09 in the morning. Next opportunity to enter the market will be around 2:15 in the morning. We'll continue our march of making some profit tonight. In the meantime, let's take a look at Bitcoin, which is now down 1,852 pips and climbing as we have a continued decline. Let's see if we can find out what's going on. So it looks like we have a global equity slide. We have 6 billion in Bitcoin and Ethereum options, which just expired. Okay. Looks like we're having a little bit of trouble tonight. Got the expiration of about 6 billion in options on both Bitcoin and Ethereum. Another thing that's probably affecting this is the extension of the closure of the U.S. federal government, because we know the SEC was considering a pretty soon approval of at least 6 different exchange traded funds on Ripple, and I believe 1 or 2 exchange traded funds on Cardano. So because the government is closed, the Security Exchange Commission, which would have approved those ETFs, is also closed, which means that liquidity, which was priced into the market, is now flowing out of the market. People are panicking. Certainly is an interesting time to be alive, I'll tell you that. But at any rate, we are rating. So we've got a little, oops, look at the 30 minutes. We look at the 15-minute. Got about 2.5 minutes left to the quarter of the hour. We'll see if we get more opportunities to enter the market. We should get a few tonight. Check the news clippings and have day 5 of the meetings of the International Monetary Fund that should be done today. Got comments by 3 members of the Royal Bank of England speaking today. One at 4:35 a.m., one at 11 a.m., and one at 11:30 a.m. We have 1 member of the Federal Open Market Committee, the U.S. Federal Reserve, speaking at 11:15 a.m. And we have comments by the president of the German BUBA, that's their central bank, speaking at 7:45 a.m. this morning. It's about 15 minutes after the opening of pre-trading for the New York Stock Exchange. So not a lot of major news, but certainly maybe some nuggets of information that may be helpful to understand what's going to happen going into next week. Um, let's check a little bit more news. Gold is still kicking butt right now. It's outperforming Bitcoin for the moment. So it's where a lot of this money is going. Past the $4,200 per troy ounce. The last time I looked at it, it's probably higher than that now. I'll find out when I look at the futures. And it looks like we have a slide in at least the US markets on futures over concerns about regional bank volatility. Basically, they may not be liquid enough to survive people trying to take their money out and apply it into other assets to hedge against inflation and make more money. Uh, got a lot of people investing in gold and silver right now. It's a smart move. So, gold currently trading at $4,366.60, an all-time high. Uh, the Dow Jones Industrial Average, which is the US 30, the S&P 500, and NASDAQ are all pointing down for the day in terms of futures. You have the same thing with the France 40, the German 30, the Japanese Nikkei 225, the Hong Kong 50, the Asian 200. All of them are getting hit. And you have downward futures on all the major cryptos, including Bitcoin, Ripple, Ethereum, and Solana. With Solana leading the way, down $15.22. That's a 7.82% drop. That is pretty large. Just recently, Solana was trading over 220 per coin, just to put that in perspective. All right, so it's now 2:18 in the morning, which means we got no alerts off of 2:15. Next opportunity to enter the market is lower than 12 minutes from now at the middle of the hour. 2:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. Gonna grab some water and chill out for a while we wait. At the moment, we're just spectators. 6 minutes left to go to the middle of the hour. I'm taking a look at the 4 hour on indices, kind of drawing off where I'm expecting price action to go. It's looking like we're getting a breakout of the price action below the 50 EMA and towards the 200 EMA. So I'm looking at possible entries at the 200 EMA and then extending to current price action. So Euro 50 is up right now, currently trading at 55.73. The 200 EMA is at 54.84. So I'm expecting a retrace to that point and then a rally up to 56.61.94. Looks like the Spanish 35 and the France 40 are not behaving like the rest of the markets. German 30 certainly is. It looks like it may decline all the way down to the 800 EMA. Markets depend on normalcy, and certainly Trump's insistence on mollywopping world markets with tariffs is causing a bit of trepidation in the market when you don't really know what somebody or something is going to do that causes uncertainty. And markets always react very violently to uncertainty. Of that we can be very sure. All right, so decline to 23,522.01, and then a rise to 24,307.27. That's 78,000 pips, possibly. All right, I've got to take a restroom break real quick. I'll come back and take a look at the other markets that I haven't marked up yet. But it's now 2:30. We should be expecting some type of signal soon. If we don't get any, the next opportunity in Central Standard Time. All right, so we have quite a few dings going off. Let's take a look at what we've got here. We'll come back to the indices. So we have a take profit smash on Ripple versus USD. That's a spot cryptocurrency. We're already in IOUSDT, but this is recalling it as a 30-minute sell. There's really nothing to take it to, so we'll keep it at the same measurement that we're at. Just that's going to smash take profit for us. We have take profit hit on Ripple versus Tether. We have take profit hit on the 30-minute on MCL1. That's the futures on crude oil. And we have take profit hit on IOST versus Tether. So no new signals that we can actually take. Next opportunity to enter the market will be at 2:45 a.m. Central Standard Time as we continue to wait additional signals. In addition to the sales we've taken on IO versus Tether and APE versus Tether. So back to reviewing the markets. We're on the 4-hour, taking a look at the Japanese Nikkei 225. Looks like we're getting a drop to the 200 EMA. So I'm marking off basically trend lines of expected price action. So from current price, I'm expecting a drop to the area of the 200 EMA and then a rise from that area back up to current price structure. So we're going to mark off an expected entry at the 200 EMA. That's at 45,742.84 currently. With an expected rise back up to 48,605.17. So 45,742.84 up to 48,581.47. And that's for 283,683 pips. Let's take a look at NASDAQ 100. Already passed the 200 EMA. We can get an expected almost another 2,000 point drop down to the 800 EMA at 22,946. It may be quite a bloodbath for U.S. markets today. It'll rise from there all the way back up to 25,036.26. Let's get a horizontal line to the 800 EMA. It's 22,960.40. And let's draw what we think our price action is going to be. So from that point, back up to 25,035.26. So 22,960.40 is our entry. Price cresting at 25,035.26 for 207,486 pips on the NASDAQ 100. Take a look at the S&P 500. Same thing. Price cresting off of the 800 EMA. So decline from current price is 65.35.14 all the way down to 62.97.97. And then from that price up to 67.23.29. Let's get a horizontal line at the 800 EMA of 62.97.84. Oops, 97. And then draw price action from that point up to our crest. So we have entry at 62.97.97. We have take profit at 67.23.29. That's going to be for 42,532 pips. Let's take a look at the UK 100, which I expect to mirror US markets, falling to the 800 EMA. Current price at 92.93 and change, falling to 89.63.43. Then a recovery back up to 95.05.29. Do a horizontal line at the 800 EMA. It's currently sitting at 89.65.43. Then drawing off price action from that level of the current price. All right, so 89.65.43 is the entry. We're to take profit of 95.05.29 for 53,986 pips. And lastly, we have the US 30. It's the Dow Jones Industrial Average, the big daddy of them all. Current price at 45,459 and change. Was trading over 48,000 at one point. Crashing down to 44,460.37. And then a rise back up to 46,728.83. So marking off an entry at the 800 EMA. It's currently sitting at 44,460.98. Then a recovery of price. So 44,460.98 as the entry. And take profit of 46,728.83. That's for 226,785 pips. So got those marked off. The only exclusion would be Spanish 35 and France 40. It isn't behaving like the rest of the markets, but the rest, possible entries here. Now, of course, if we get those extreme entries, we'll have equivalent entries for the futures for those markets, but there's no point in marking those off. We'll just take the alerts as we get them. But we are prepared for those just in case we get them because we have them marked off. Which means that next week could be a pretty epic week in profit, provided we get those scenarios. All of this is certainly possible, particularly if the U.S. government shutdown stretches into next week, which looks very possible at this point. Republicans and Democrats are not budging. So let's get back to Bitcoin. On the 15-minute, currently down almost 2,200 points. Edges way down towards the bottom of my daily breakout range. We're currently at 105,900 and declining. Three minutes and 17 seconds left in the current 15-minute candle. We took the top of the hour to 4-hour candle for cryptocurrency, so we could get a reversible price action at that point. We'll see. Matter of fact, while we're still waiting, let's take a look at some of the other things that can be affecting things. Now, obviously, Bitcoin is decreasing in price. The working theory for most altcoin seasons is that when you have a decrease in Bitcoin price, also followed by a decrease in Bitcoin dominance, means you have a rise in Ethereum versus Bitcoin, which means that Ethereum is starting to outperform Bitcoin. It also is a signal that people are purchasing Ethereum to use as gas to purchase altcoins, which happens every 4 years. So we have the decline in Bitcoin price, but right now Bitcoin dominance is up. So something else is affecting things. And I think based off of our review of the news items earlier, we do have an expiration of about $6 billion in options on Bitcoin and Ethereum combined. That's definitely having an effect on Bitcoin's price right now, because that stuff was baked in. And people chose to let their options expire instead of extending them or purchasing new options. That's indicative of the fact that they'd rather have the cash in hand for price going to a lower point. Now, looks like we have an order filled on APE versus USDT. We did enter this earlier on the 15-minute. It has not hit stop take profit yet, but it's close. It's very close. And we literally just called this at the opening bell. So 45 minutes and counting, and we're about to get take profit. We're also at 50% to, well, not 50%, but about 40% to take profit on ILUSDT, which is the other caller we have for the night. So that's very nice. We'll take nice quick wins. All right, so Bitcoin dominance is up. Ethereum versus Bitcoin is down. Tether versus United States dollars in consolidation. We have a downtrend on the US dollar index. And we have mixed results on the rest of the currencies. Wonderful. All right, it's now 2:45 in the morning, Central Standard Time. It takes about 3 minutes for TradingView to go through all the different assets that we trade. We trade 328 different assets across multiple asset classes. So around 2:48, if we don't get an alert, we'll know we won't have anything for 2:45. We should note that futures are calling about a 10-minute time delay from the rest of the market. So it's possible we get some of those after that time, but before the next 15-minute candle. But if we get nothing for 2:45 in the morning, our next option to enter the markets at 3 a.m. Central Standard Time. That's the 4-hour candle for the entire crypto market, along with the 4-hour candle for the Sydney market. Barring some news that has not hit the wire yet, I don't expect there to be an acceleration of a decrease in Bitcoin. I expect there to be some type of reversal on price action. We're already below the Asian range already. You would expect the price would react to pull itself back into the Asian range, because the London Stock Exchange normally sets the higher low of the day, which has already happened. So you look at the price, we've already hit the low of the day. It's already backing off of that. So high of the day is at 109,240. It's the top of the Poseidon. And as you can see, that's just above the top of the Asian range. So if we turn out here, take a look at Ethereum. Ethereum was trading like 4,200 and it's down to 37.77. That is a massive drop from where it was. Take a look at Cardano. Same thing, getting its butt kicked. Doge also getting its butt kicked. Polkadot, same pattern that we're seeing on Bitcoin. Litecoin, yep, same thing. Literally almost identical charts. Solana, the same thing. Ripple, You can literally lay these charts on top of one another and they look exactly the same. It's quite weird to look at. And Zcash had a monster run and it's getting smashed too. All right, so nothing for 2:45 in the morning. We've got 10 and a half minutes left to the top of the hour. Good time to grab a restroom break, something to drink, maybe a nice little snack that's healthy. And we'll wait till 3 a.m. I'm the Pit Messiah, your host for the Quiet Storm Live Trading Session for London for October 17, 2025. Appreciate you for rocking with me tonight. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe to the channel. Like the video and turn on those notifications to keep abreast of when we go live in the market. Tonight we've called IO versus Tether and Ape versus Tether, both performing well. And we should get take profit, barring some type of extraordinary circumstance on both of these during the stream tonight. Unless, of course, we have a massive reaction to price on Bitcoin with the 4-hour candle. And that happens at the top of the hour. So we'll see. If you are in Ape versus Tether, go ahead and move your stop loss to entry price to make the trade risk-free. Or you can go ahead and take your profit now if you're just afraid to stay in the trade, because that is a nice little recovery. So basically the first green candle of any sort of note, well, the second in the last couple of hours for Bitcoin. Complete dominance by these sellers right now in the market. The way you can tell is by looking at the space between the 13 EMA, the red line, and the 5 EMA, the yellow line. The red line represents the power of the buyers in the market. The yellow line represents the power of the sellers in the market. The further those lines are apart from another, the gap, the stronger the control of the market that the line on the top has. So as you see, as price has been accelerating down in price, the gap between the red and yellow is getting wider and wider, implying that the sell-off is getting stronger and stronger in terms of momentum. Then on top of that, we have blue on the top, gray in the middle, aqua on the bottom. BGA is a definite downtrend on the 15-minute on Bitcoin. Past that, get into the actual fundamentals. TradingView does a lot of that stuff for you. So if we were just to pull up just Bitcoin, scroll down, see right now it's considering that overall Bitcoin is a strong sell. On the 15 minutes, if we go down to the 15-minute, you can see the oscillator say that it's a buy, which means it sees that a reversal of price action coming. Overall, it's considered a sell, but for moving average, it's considered to be a strong sell. Let's take a look at some of the other indicators that we have. Do we have any divergence? Is one thing I want to know. The answer is no. But price is way, way, way oversold right now for Bitcoin. So you would expect some type of violent reaction in price. So it's not going to stay selling off like that. Some recovery of action is coming. When we look at the TDI, we have the same thing. Some recovery of price is coming. And right now, the US dollar is the strongest currency. Great British pound is the weakest. Down 2,500 points and counting. About 4 minutes left to go to the top of the hour. All right, it's now the top of the hour. Still waiting to see if we get any alerts. Bitcoin is now 2,600 points down. The 4-hour candle for cryptocurrency did open as a sell off. We'll see if we get any recovery of price here in a second. Now, if you recall, it took an announcement by President Trump on an additional 100% tariffs on the People's Republic of China to get Bitcoin to dip to 102,000 and change. We don't have that sort of announcement right now, so I'm not expecting Bitcoin to get down that low, which means that we should be expecting a higher low from 102,000, which forms the basis of a recovery in price on Bitcoin. I am very surprised we haven't received any new signals as far as sales as Bitcoin has declined in price, but out of the ones that we did get, uh, well, some of them I missed because I was sleeping, but this was well before the London session, and I don't typically trade in the Asian session. Several of those hit take profit, and the other two we took; those are both a profit. So, I suppose one, beggars can't be choosers, and two, we've been fortunate that we got some action out tonight. All right, does not look like we're getting any action out of the top of the hour. The next opportunity to enter the market is going to be at 3:15 a.m. Central Standard Time, about 12 minutes from now. We'll take this opportunity to welcome the other platforms into the stream. In addition to YouTube, which is the main platform that we stream on, we do have viewers from Twitch, from Instagram, from Kick, and from Apple TV Podcasts. So, welcome to all of you. Hope you guys are enjoying the show. All right, further degradation of price. We're down nearing 3,000 points down on Bitcoin. Just above 105,000 and change. If you do feel interested in joining my private trading group, it is free of charge. It's where I call my signals 24/7, in addition to the ones for the lives for both London and New York. Here's the link to it. It's on Telegram. You'll need to download the app on your phone or your mobile device or your computer and log in. It does two-factor authentication with your phone number to make sure people don't get access to your information. You will have access to all of my signals in live time. Again, that's free of charge, doesn't require any sort of money at all. I don't, not really of the opinion that you should gate this sort of information behind anything. So I think we've got a community of 109 people right now. We trade together and we win together. It's really the whole point. I start to remember when I started trading almost 10 years ago now. I had people that were willing to teach me how to trade if I paid for it. But very rarely did you have someone that was consistently willing to help you profit. And that's just not something I wanted to be an experience for other traders. So I made it my mission to become an effective trade caller so I could be independent of other people, but in a position where I could help other people learn how to trade effectively themselves and pass that skill set forward, because this truly is life changing. In no other market can you learn and master a skill where it takes the same amount of effort to make more and more money over time, so long as you're compounding using proper risk and trade management. It just becomes exponentially better over time. The trick comes with number one, avoiding FOMO, the fear of missing out, the notion that you have to be in the market all the time to make money. You don't. The notion that you have to constantly be looking at charts all the time. You don't. The fear of staying in a trade. Um, you don't have to be afraid at all. If you're afraid to take a trade, you shouldn't be trading at all. I would be up in profit a little bit and I would get out of the trade instead of waiting for it to hit take profit, because I didn't have any confidence that that was going to happen. Now my expectation is when I take a trade, it's going to take profit. And in the instance that it doesn't, it's fine. It's what I have stop losses for. But because I use proper risk management, I don't really have that issue. I could lose 2/3 of the trades that I take and still be in profit because I'm always taking a risk reward ratio of at least 2-to-1. And my win percentage is higher than that. Um, kind of difficult to get a real rare percentage if you're doing it yourself over 50%. I think I'm somewhere in the 57% range right now. So not doing quite bad for the year. And mind you, between being sick for part of the year and also just a late start because I didn't start trading until February the 3rd, which is on the tail end of me recovering from major health issues last year. Still almost at 3.5 million pips right now. The count is actually 877 wins versus 668 losses for 3,464,973 pips. I mean, that's decent. For those of you unfamiliar with my story, last August, on August the 6th, I had a massive heart attack and a stroke on the same day and actually ended up having to get quadruple bypass surgery on August the 8th of last year. So I was not able to trade at all for about 6 months. And the year before that, I hit my all-time high in terms of production. I think we finished the year just north of 10.1 million pips. Like I was on fire. And, lost a lot of that momentum last year because, of course, just off of my feet. So feels good to kind of be back in the saddle. I think 2025 be the last year I kind of take significant breaks off and get back to being more the machine of a trader that I normally am in 2026. So not quite sure what my goal is going to be for the year, but I think I'll probably be conservative and say we'll aim for 5 million pits for the 2026. Probably going to beat that, but 5 million pips seems fair. December is normally a very slow trading month. So what is October the 17th? Now we're at 3.4. We still have a chance to clear 5 million pips. I don't think it's likely. I do think we'll probably get 4 million pips before year end. That's not bad. So we're at 56.76% win rate so far this year. All right, so it is now 3:15 in the morning, the quarter of the hour. Bitcoin is down almost 3,200 points. And don't have a ding just yet. So still waiting to see what we end up getting. Now, we did have 2 calls we had earlier this evening. We have IO versus Tether. You can see that's now at 50% to take profit. So you can go ahead and move your stop loss to your entry price. This is now a risk-free trade for you. We had a pullback of 8 versus Tether, but this is still going to sell off. We're going to take profit on that one as well. Everything is seeing. All right, so We have Whiff versus Tether on the 1 hour, which is hit take profit. Hmm. All right, so it doesn't look like we're getting anything new that we can take at the 3:15 mark. Next opportunity to enter the market will be at 3:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. That's the middle of the hour as we advance ourselves through the journey of Bitcoin getting its butt kicked and dragging the rest of the market down with it on the expiration of about $6 billion in options that were priced into Bitcoin's price uh, that were not re-upped. Be very interested to see where all that cash goes. Doesn't seem to be any indication that's being applied back into other cryptocurrencies right now. So it may be more traditional assets like precious metals. Right now, we do see an all-time high of gold. All right, so we have an artificial floor on Bitcoin at $104,505. Let's see if that holds. If it does, that means we have a high and low of the day. The bottom at 104,505 currently, the top at 109,240, which is also just above the top of the Asian range for the day. It's also outside of the average daily range of Bitcoin. So we should see some sort of price recovery. Matter of fact, we can check to see what that is. ADR is 929 points, and we're down 3,300 points. So, yeah, we're definitely getting some price recovery. I'm very sleepy right now, so I'm trying to tough it out to make it to 4 a.m. Should be able to make it, but I'm going to drag my behind to bed ahead of the New York session and get some nice few hours of rest. I feel like I'm going to sleep like a rock. We've got 6 minutes left to 3:30. The half of the hour, 6 minutes left. All right, so it looks like we're getting some recovery in price on Bitcoin. Got about 3 minutes or so left until the middle of the hour at 3:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. That leaves us with three tickers left: 3:30 a.m., 3:45 a.m., and 4 a.m. We'll be back for the New York session for 7:30 a.m. Central Standard Time to 10 a.m. Central Standard Time later this morning. So we'll have more opportunities to profit a little bit ahead of the weekend. I do call on Saturday and Sundays. So if you look at the link to Telegram that's already in the chat, I encourage you to click there and join the group Project Genesis. Um, that's my personal signal calling group where you'll get the calls 24/7. I do call 24/7, so it doesn't matter whether or not it's just in the live or not. If we have opportunities to make money, we take it. All right, so about a minute and a half left to go. We'll see what we end up getting. Again, after these 15-minute little tickers, it does take trading you about 3 minutes to get through all the assets to determine whether or not we have any entries in the market to evaluate to get into. At 3:30, we're going to see if we get anything. We are starting to see recovery in price slightly on Bitcoin, but nothing of real note. All right, so we're not going to get anything for 3:30. The next opportunity into the market is at 3:45 a.m. Central Standard Time. The artificial bottom of $104,505 has held, which means we now have the low and high of the day. So what you normally see is that the London market sets the low of the day or the high of the day, and we have retracement back into the Asian zone. So that's what I'm expecting at this point. Somewhere near break even, if now down just slightly under 1,000 points down. So somewhere around 107,500 is where we should end up entering just about the start of the US stock exchange. 5.5 minutes left to go to the quarter of the hour. All right, less than a minute to go to the quarter of the hour, coming up on 3:45 a.m. See what we end up getting. Got one more ticker after this at 4 a.m. Central Standard Time. We don't get anything after that, then we'll go ahead and end the live and be ready for the New York session at 7:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. Right, looking more and more unlikely that I can get anything for 3:45 a.m. Central Standard Time. Got about another minute or so before we know for certain. Next and last entry will be at 4 a.m. Central Standard Time, top of the hour. That's the 4-hour candle for most of the rest of the market, with the exception of cryptocurrency. About 10.5 minutes left to go. Last little stretch of the evening. So we've had a call on Ape versus Tether. Got a call on IO versus Tether. Those are sells on 15-minute confirmations. Both are in profit. If you took them early enough, you should be beyond 50% to take profit on both trades right now. Sometime later this morning, both of those should hit for you. So congratulations in advance. We also marked off a number of charts in the 4-hour for indices. Go ahead and review those with you real quick. I do expect these opportunities to kind of show themselves. I don't know if it'll happen today, but certainly if the tailwinds don't change, it's going to happen sometime next week. So essentially what I'm looking at is the 4-hour time frame, starting with the Australian 200, decline of current price to the 200 EMA, and then a recovery of price up to 91.16 for 219 pips. That's the setup I expect there. I don't expect anything to react off of Spanish 35. That's behaving a little weird. For the Euro 50, I expect a retraction of price to the 200 EMA, then a recovery of price to 56.6194 for 17,721 pips. For the France 40, similar to the Spanish market, I don't see an opportunity here. For the German 30, I see a decline to the 800 EMA from current price, retraction of price up to 24,307.27 for 78,526 pips. For the Japanese Nikkei 225, for the second time in a week, a massive change, so a decline in price to the 200 EMA, the recovery price to the top of the current range at 48,605.17 for 283,863 pips. Again, I expect this to manifest sometime within the next week or so. We'll be taking that when that setup ends. The NASDAQ 100 U.S. market, I'm expecting some pretty massive moves on the U.S. markets next week, mostly because the longer the U.S. government is closed, the more profound effect it's going to have on companies that have contracts with the federal government, because next Wednesday they won't be able to get paid. So the decline to the 800 EMA, only down to 22,946.40, then a recovery up to 25,035.26 for 207,486 pips. I see the same thing on the S&P 500, a decline down to the 800 EMA, then a recovery for 42,532 pips. Same thing for UK 100, decline to the 800 EMA, recovery for 53,986 pips. And I see the same thing for the Dow Jones Industrial Average, decline to the 800 EMA, recovery for 226,785 pips. Now, this city we got a ding. Let's take a look at it real quick. So Melania coin, and that hit take profit. So nothing of note there. IO, which is the first call of the night, is now 60% of the way to take profit. Just nice, solid movement. Ape kind of rebounding. There's a little bit of consolidation right now, but that's going to hit take profit. So 2 solid wins, and what I believe are going to be pretty massive wins on the indices going into next week. Gold is still trading near its all-time high. It's over 4,000 per troy ounce, which is absurd. This look like silver, platinum, palladium are getting any sort of upside from people applying money from equities and crypto into gold, but this is real. All right, so we'll go back tracking Bitcoin until the top of the hour. We got about 5.5 minutes left to go. Let's just say next week is going to be very interesting. There's not enough major news today. to really drive the market in any discernible direction. And the reason Bitcoin is getting smashed right now is about $6 billion in options expired last night. They didn't re-up, so the money went out of the market. And with that, the price of Bitcoin, along with the rest of the market, tanked. So I think we have some anecdotal evidence that some of that money flowed over into gold versus the United States dollar. Where the rest of it went, we won't know for quite some time. Might just be people sitting on cash to get lower prices on cryptocurrency. That would be a smart play. Hmm. 4.5 minutes left to go. A little over a minute left to go to the top of the hour. Remember, this is a 4-hour candle for the rest of the market, excluding cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency starts at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time every day. So we just had the 4-hour candle at 3 a.m. Central Standard Time. So this is for everything else. Normally around this time you get plays on Forex currency, both major and minor pairs and some exotics, along with some futures to the extent that they're open and trading, OTC. Over the counter, basically, pre-market trading. All right, here we go. About a minute in. We should know around 4:03 a.m. whether or not we'll get anything for the top of the hour. Just based off of what I'm saying, it does not seem likely. And over 402 doesn't look like we're going to get anything. So we're going to call it a night. I'll see you guys at 7:30 a.m. Central Standard Time for the New York session. Cheers.